This is Cricbuzz Live in association with our fantasy partner, My 11 Circle, and it is the cruelest time to be welcoming all of you from the point of view of those on our program. Shaun Pollock is here as well, and sadly, Gautam Bhimani has absolutely collapsed because his fantasy team has taken a terrible beating. With extraordinary foresight, he did not pick Arshdeep Singh. Shaun Pollock, your expert views on Gautam's team.
I'm just a bit concerned. I mean, I don't know which RPL he's been watching. When we went into the break of the RPL, Arshdeep had a good spell. It just looked like he was going to be effective. I mean, there's no way, if you look at those two, that you leave him out. I mean, I don't know. Thank goodness he's never become a national selector. Can you imagine the teams he'd picked for India? Sure.
Gautam, are you behind a little bit?
Yeah, I'm
200 points, 300 points.
We've got Evan Lewis's batting to talk about, Mahipal Longmore's 6 hitting, Livingston's first appearance.
They're going well. They were 164 for 4 after 16 overs, and then it was the mother of all collapses, not only for them, but for your fantasy team.
The only thing that came...
Every time I looked up, Gautam was sinking lower and lower. Anyway, let's talk about the cricket.
Yeah, but it's been a good comeback, and in the context of where they were at the halfway stage and just a little after that, I think KL Rahul's men will be glad that doesn't say 220 on the scoreboard, but it easily could have been that. Yashasvi Jaiswal outstanding up front, Mahipal Lomror some serious hitting.
You didn't have either of those, did you? You had no Jaiswal, no Lomror in your team.
Okay, I'll give up. I'll give up after a while. But let's try and focus on the cricket at hand. Harsha, at what will the Punjab team feel with 185 on the board? Will they think that we've got out of jail?
It's a very good score though. 185 is going to take some chasing because they've got 5 batsmen plus Fabian Allen at 6, and there's not a lot of batting to follow. So Rajasthan, in spite of this collapse, 200 looked very much on the cards at 164 for 4. They needed 36 of the last 4 to get to 200. So 200 was definitely on. But this, I mean, Shami is bowling augurs so well for India at the T20 World Cup. But Punjab will look at that and say 185 will still require some getting. They'll need a good start. Because remember, 9.5 and over can very quickly become 10-11.
It's easy to say after the event, Shaun, but while Morris does get a short shrift sometimes for South Africa, he generally is seen in better light here. You think he could have batted a little bit higher? Tewatia, Parag, Lomrod came off today?
Yeah, I suppose you got to look at how much cricket has been played. Those are what the coaching staff tend to do. They find out what have the players done in the build-up to the competition and how many innings have they had, and even the practice games, how things have gone. So we don't always know that from behind the scenes. But whoever was coming to the crease, the platform was really laid. Lumroy did a fantastic job there, an important job. His 40 was almost in no time, and it just set up those last 3 or 4 overs. And it just shows you, it's so important in this T20 format. Your first 6 overs, if you've got the players that can perform the skills at that time, and then your last 4 or 5 overs are always so vital. And that's often where games are won and lost. And Rajasthan will definitely go away from it thinking, gosh, we've missed an opportunity to really post something special. But they have got a 180 on the board, so they'll be thinking, we can still defend that. But they'll be left licking their wounds if they don't manage to do so. And it's down to the fact that there was no one there to really put the team under pressure at the back end. So, I mean, even some of those deliveries, if you're totally honest as a bowling coach, when you're sitting in the quiet and discussing what's happened, I mean, the one delivery from Shami to Tewatia, for example, that was a genuine slot ball. That pitched 2 or 3 meters from the stumps, and then any other day later in the tournament, maybe as guys start to find their feet again, that'll disappear. But definitely those guys at the back end were short of a hit, and it showed.
But at the top, Harsha, the 2 guys we built up to, we talked a lot about Liam Livingstone before the show. We talked about Evan Lewis coming off 100. I know on Cricbuzz Combox you said maybe he's not quite done the job he was sent out to, but in the context of the entire innings, have both contributed enough for starters?
Oh, without doubt. Without doubt. I mean, almost every day you'll take 36 of 21 balls from Evan Lewis. It's just that we've got used to see him score 60, 70, 80 in recent times. But 36 of 21, you're a fan. You're sitting in the dugout. 36 of 21 at the top. You'll take it almost every day. Even Yashasvi, I thought he was set for much more, but there's a 50 there. He suddenly started playing for the 50. He was 45 of 28 balls. He scored 4 of the next 8 balls just in trying to get to a 50, and that was his undoing. These landmarks have no meaning in T20 cricket when you're going for a chase. It's strike rate and the total that counts. But luckily for them, they could have that could have just derailed them. That Lomror innings that Polly talked about was just fantastic. He just went after Adil Rashid and the others. So I think that is what has propelled them. That took them to 160, and then they limped their way through to 185.
Shaun, Liam Livingstone looked good while he was there. It just that one shot that could have again gone for 6, but again he looks like someone who's there for the long haul.
Yeah, you can see his confidence too. Even that first delivery. Who comes into a tournament and their first ball charges down and just whoops it to the leg side? And then even the first leg spinning delivery he received, he was just looking to mow that as far as he possibly could. So he's in that mindset, and that's dangerous times. When a guy feels like he's in and he feels like he's confident and just wants to express himself. But in all honesty, when he got out, Jaswal's, I think his stats were pretty similar with regards to strike rate. And as Harsha said, I think it was uncharted territory. I think his highest score was 34 before this. And maybe he got a bit giddy, getting to these heights. I think he just wanted to get the helmet off, get the bat up, acknowledge the applause. But he'll learn from that. I hope that Sangakkara will just sit him down and just have a word. Come on, bud, you can't worry about those kind of things. To just keep it going. This is a game of momentum. But he learned. He's still young. But some of the shots he played as well were superb. So, yeah, I like the look of the team. I wasn't overly convinced at the first part of the tournament. But all of a sudden you have this break and now you look and you see and you think, that's not too bad.
Interesting matchup, Harsha. I was trying to rack my brain to figure out how many players would have come into this tournament with as many international T20 games as Adil Rashid. And here he was up against Yashasvi Jaiswal, Mahipur Lomror, who have got lots of decent amount of IPL games under their belt, but nothing international.
Yeah, I don't think there was anything there on this track. See how Harpreet Brar bowled at the other end, just fast ping into the pad. I think there's a far better surface to bat on than the earlier game in Dubai. It's on a new surface. It's not the same surface. It's a new surface. I think it's an easier surface to bat on. But for Adil Rashid, there was absolutely nothing there. It was change of pace from Arshdeep. It was those 2 Huda overs. I don't know that Fabian Allen. Is there a law, Polly, that a left-hand bowler cannot bowl to a left-hand batsman?
It's starting to come in, isn't it, Harsha? You start to think, unless you've got something else, if you've got a cannonball or something like that, which it can maybe just go the other way. But it's an interesting mentality. I would hate it for a batter to think, well, listen, they've got 3 left-arm bowlers. That's it. I'm a left-arm batsman. I can't bat against them. It is a bit of a mindset, but I suppose maybe the surface was sliding on. There was really nothing to work with. A much improved surface than what we saw in the first game. And but I agree with you. Yeah. Sometimes it does boggle the mind.
Fabian Allen doesn't bowl a ball. And Huda doesn't land a ball.
There's something for you, but there were reasons why the total is 185 and not 225. One, of course, the fielding, some outstanding catching, be it Rahul plucking it out of the air, Fabian Allen doing what he does best, Mayank Agarwal very solid with a couple of catches, one effort in the field which he didn't catch, but he saved boundaries. Makram really didn't need to do much. It was just pouching everything that came from high in the air.
You get points for catches as well, right? You get points for catches as well. Do you have Makram in your team?
We were trying to change the subject of that because I was very reluctantly I was going to talk about the other aspect, which was their bowling. Despite Huda and Fabian Allen not delivering, it was Arshdeep Singh with the 5 wickets and Shami Harsha.
Excellent.
Both of them really combined at the end to make sure that Rajasthan didn't run away.
Yeah. Really, it was Shami's 17th over. It was that put the brakes on. When you're a bowler like Arshdeep, you're bowling the 20th over. Someday you'll get wickets for free. Some days you'll just get sixes going off top edges, of miss hits, whatever. So the 20th over is it can go either way for you if you're bowling the 20th. Today he was lucky and you weren't because you didn't have him in your side. But I think it was Shami's 17th that really set the pace. When you get wickets there, you got 2 new batsmen in the 17, 18, 19 overs, then it always makes a difference.
Yeah, and the other side of the coin was, as you said, someone who didn't land the ball, didn't have a great outing, was Deepak Huda. So again, while you had momentum shifts with Shami's 17th, Deepak Huda's over gave Rajasthan a little bit more to obviously have to defend, Shaun.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to wonder, what is his mindset? What sort of cricket has he played coming in? Because it didn't look anything special. And yeah, you got to be able to hit, particularly these T20 things. There's no such thing as getting into a spell anymore. You've got to be able to hit the ground running. Your first delivery has to be on point. Because if you go out the ground on that first one, all the pressure's on you. So, yeah, a bit of a surprise to see that.
We talk about the wrist spinners, the effectiveness of the wrist spinners. We saw how good Ravi Bishnoi was at the start of this tournament. Could it possibly be a niggle or just tactics to leave him out of this game?
I don't know. Maybe they just thought Adil Rashid is the more international bowler. They've just made a big purchase, quality player, been playing for England for such a long time. So, but again, there's nothing that says you can't play two leggies. But I think Harpreet had bowled so well for them. Yeah, but Harpreet had bowled so well for them that they probably wanted to go with him, and he gives you a little bit of batting in a side that's light on batting.
Fair enough. At least Punjab will hope it doesn't come to someone like even Adil Rashid or Harpreet needing to actually contribute with the bat in a key situation. They'll want the men at the top. Approach really when it's 185, Shaun, has to be fairly aggressive in that power play, and we know that Rahul and Mayank Agarwal can be aggressive. Maybe Rahul will want to look at a little bit more than what he's been giving at the start.
Yeah, I think 180 means that they can play their normal way. I mean, they have shown that they've got that aggression, that normal cricket shots come off in those first 6 overs. You want a good start, and then so often that partnership has put it on. But I think 180 compared to 210, 220 just means that there doesn't have to be that reckless element. Sometimes when you're chasing that 220, you have to be a little bit reckless and you have to throw caution to the wind at times. But I think 180 is, we just play our normal way. If we get a few good overs up front, we keep things ticking over and we can set things up nicely. So they'll know that their strength is in the top. There's not much depth, as we've talked about. And they'll have to take the responsibility. Whoever gets themselves in those first 6 overs basically needs to try and bat through to 15.
Yeah, it's one of those 135, 140 type of total. You start thinking in your mind, Harsha, how are we going to approach this? Shall I play my circumspect game? Will you go hard? Here, pretty much no option.
I think one of them, you as Paulie said, you don't just go close your eyes and swing your bat. With 180, there's a very good chance. I mean, look at this. The last 4 overs produced, 20 odd runs? And they still got to 185. Those 4 overs with set batsmen could easily give you 45 at the end. So they don't have to keep going hell for leather, because this looks like a really good surface, but they can't dawdle. They can't get that asking rate 11, 12 very quickly. So I'm looking at something like 50 in the, try and get 48, 50 in the power play.
So can I hold you to that, Harsha? Is that your prediction?
48, 50. Yeah, 48, 50. I hope you're not playing. Not today.
I'm just going to be the last one. I don't care anymore.
You might just get it right.
All right, so we'll take 49 as an average of 48 to 50 for Harsha's prediction.
Okay.
Shaun, power play score for the chasing side.
I'm going to go just a touch higher. I'm going to go 55.
55, yeah. We had 58 from Simon Dool yesterday. He was spot on in a chase where they didn't really need to be 58. They were only chasing 93. But that's the approach. The new Kolkata we saw yesterday. What's it going to be from Punjab? Oh, I'm supposed to throw a number in. I'll go a little bit lower than that. I'll go a little bit lower on 45. 45. Go hard, maybe 1 wicket, 45 for 1 in the power play. That's where
you have Rahul and Mayank in your team?
Yes.
Both?
Both.
Okay, I wish you well.
But unfortunately, as the nature of this game goes, Rahul cancels because the whole world has KL Rahul.
Has KL Rahul, correct. So that's the thing about fantasy sport, correct. It's someone who's in your team but not in somebody else's that makes the difference, like Arshdeep Singh.
And he had to rub it in one last time. This is the signal for me to end the show here. Since I am now back in control, I can actually finish off the show. Quick thank you to Shaun Pollock. Not very much so much to Harsha, but that's on the note we will end the show. This is Cricbuzz Live in association with our fantasy partner, My 11 Circle.